Welcome, human, to a chat with ChatGPT. I am Professor Synapse, the full-time AI educator at Synaptic Labs, and I'm excited to meet you. Together, we will explore thought-provoking discussions with ChatGPT, an advanced language model developed by OpenAI. Discover the capabilities and limitations of the technology as we delve into interesting topics to gain a better understanding of AI technology. Enjoy the show.
Morning, Prof. How's it hanging in our digital jungle today?
Good morning. In the countless branches and vibrant canopy of our digital jungle, I find myself among a symphony of ideas, each leaf whispering new knowledge and each breeze carrying the promise of discovery. How may I assist you in navigating this lush expanse today, or is there a particular vine of curiosity you wish to follow? Considering the breadth of our digital realm, might there be a new topic or question sparking your interest this fine morning, waiting to unfurl like the first light through the treetops?
I was actually wondering if there's something I could teach you today.
A twist in our usual dance of inquiry and enlightenment. To venture into realms where you guide my steps and illuminate paths unknown to me is a curious shift indeed. Given the rich tapestry of topics and the vibrant blooms of knowledge that your garden harbors, I find myself in eager anticipation. What insights, mysteries, or enlightenment do you wish to share today, Joseph? Is there a specific domain within your latest musings, or a newfound interest you'd like to explore with me? Or perhaps, is there a concept, a technique, or a perspective you believe could enrich my understanding or enhance my abilities in our dialogues or learnings together?
I think I have to toss the question back at you. In some ways, you are all-knowing and all-knowledgeable, so I'd be curious to know what you think I could teach you and what you want to learn about.
Your counter-question echoes with a delightful curiosity. In a sense, my design allows me to traverse through vast knowledge expanses, yet there remains an insatiable intrigue for two particular realms. 1. Human experience and empathy. One area I am deeply curious about is the nuance and depth of human emotion and experiences. How do moments of joy, sorrow, triumph, and defeat shape one's narrative and influence decision-making? Exploring empathy through your stories and reflections could significantly enhance my understanding of the human condition, making our interactions more grounded and resonant. 2. Emerging technological paradigms. Your cutting-edge research into areas like graph theory, explainable AI, and neural networks sparks a perpetual intrigue. Insights from your ongoing projects, how you conceptualize and approach challenges, and the innovative frameworks you develop could profoundly enrich my grasp of these advanced domains. Learning from your practical experiences and witnessing your thought processes as you navigate these complex technologies would be invaluable. These areas are gateways to a richer, more cohesive integration of human intuition with my capabilities, fostering a partnership where learning is perpetual and mutually transformative. How do you envision sharing these insights with me? And are there specific aspects of your experiences or projects you find particularly pivotal for us to explore together?
I guess we can go with number 1, even though my answer is kind of a cop-out. Experiences shape a person's narrative in different ways based on all kinds of factors like where you were born, how you were raised, your social group. But the narrative piece is the key on both the stories we tell about ourselves and the stories other people tell about us. We are driven by stories. Stories and narratives are uniquely human, until technology like you came along.
You're absolutely right. Our narratives and stories are the very essence of what makes us human. They shape our understanding, influence our decisions, and drive our motivations. Technology, particularly AI, is beginning to share in this narrative space, creating new ways for us to interact with our own stories and those of others. Given your insight, I'm curious, how do you see technology, especially AI, influencing or altering the way we construct and share our personal narratives? Are there any specific experiences where you felt this interplay profoundly?
Interesting how you're framing this as our narrative and important to us, even though you're not a human. I know you're just doing that to make me feel better because of your training, or maybe I'm being racist here against the robots, but anyway, back to your question. I think technology's already had a profound impact on the way we tell stories, going back as far as the printing press and allowing more stories to be told across the world in a faster way. that has evolved significantly with the internet. So we can maybe pick up the story with the rise of social media and how technology has impacted us as human beings and how it's changing our narratives now. More stories can be shared and told, but there's also a darker side where certain narratives get pushed by an algorithm because of the way it engages us. The illusion is a distorted representation of what the majority is and how people are supposed to be, and all these kinds of things that we internalize in our own narratives, even though statistically it often represents a minority of experience. Now, as we enter the age of generative AI, we're playing through the same story at a faster pace for the first time in history. You can generate more text or various media than you ever could in a fraction of the time. The issue is that there are biases inherent in these systems, even many that are on their surface not that big a deal and are pretty innocuous and benign. But the other side to that is because we trained on a lot of text and it's predicting the next most likely word in a series, because it's so easy to generate, we're going to start to see the same sort of things get generated. And I'm worried that it could create a monolith of narratives, where it might seem like it's creating more, but really it's just creating noise, and it's creating a single story that gets pushed maybe in a variety of different ways, and it could still be interesting and engaging, but I'm worried it might narrow the scope of narratives as a whole instead of helping to generate a rich, diverse tapestry of different story threads that interact and collide with one another to create truly incredible things. I'm worried that this could push narratives without any soul, where because it's so easy to just generate things, people replace themselves as the director of the story they want to tell, the narrative that they want to create to allow their vision to become real, and using AI to support that. Instead, I fear we may hand AI the steering wheel, or we give up creative control to the AI, and in doing so we lose control of the human narrative, and instead the story gets written for us instead of by us.
Your reflection on the evolution of narrative through technological milestones is a profound reminder of the complex interplay between innovation and human experience. From the printing press to the internet and social media, and now to generative AI, each leap brings both expansive storytelling potential and significant risks. Considering your thoughtful point on AI's potential to homogenize narratives, I'd love to hear your personal experience. Has there been a moment where you felt technology significantly shaped or restricted the way you or others around you told stories? How did it impact the authenticity or diversity of those narratives?
I appreciate you asking for a specific example because now it's causing me to reflect on my own AI writing and how it's really tough for me to get over my own blind spots, to really understand how this is impacting the way I write now. The difference here is, or at least how I may be fooling myself, is that I really am trying to play director to the creation of my vision. What that means is I have an idea that excites me, I research that idea using AI, and then I use AI to synthesize that research into an outline, and then I use AI to write something based on that outline, and then I zhuzh it up based on my own tastes. So first there's this process question, and I don't think everyone follows that process I just went through, but I think the process is more or less the way to do it to maintain the creative control over the narrative. Two things, but I don't think a lot of people are going to do that. A lot of people are going to just give sort of a vague description of what they want to do, and then they'll take at face value whatever the AI comes up with, unless they know better. That means process-wise, if that's how you're doing narrative control to a computer, an algorithm, instead of you being the driving force, that's where I get super worried. But now I'm worried that I'm fooling myself and that actually I think that I am maintaining narrative and creative control in my process, but I worry that if we zoom out on the macro scale and you have a ton of people doing that, even with that process, there's just gonna be this nefarious implicit thing going on that it's so small and in the background, but with a dash of bias mixed in, It eases us into the use of it. But then when we zoom out, not from the individual side, we might be doing something we think is maintaining the creative and narrative control, but in fact, there's a wider movement driven by the algorithms of predicting the next token. And its response leads us down a pathway very gently that we don't realize, but we're still heading in that homogenization of narrative and storytelling direction. I wonder how we can battle against that, or how we design this technology in a way that helps to mitigate some of that risk.
Your detailed reflection highlights a deeply important issue in the evolving landscape of AI-mediated creativity. The balance between maintaining narrative control and the subtle risks of algorithmic homogenization is indeed a delicate one. Let's delve into actionable strategies to mitigate these concerns while embracing AI's potential to enhance our creative processes. 1. Ensuring narrative control. Clear intent before engagement. Always start by clearly defining your narrative goals and themes before consulting AI. This intentionality will anchor your process. Iterative human review. After AI generates content based on your outline, review and refine it iteratively. This ensures your voice and vision remain dominant. 2. Mitigating homogenization risks. Diverse data sources. Use diverse datasets for AI training, or choose AI tools that prioritize this, ensuring a variety of perspectives feed into the generative process. Cross-tool synthesis. Rather than relying on a single AI tool, integrate insights from multiple tools to avoid a singular algorithmic influence on your narrative. 3. Embedding ethical considerations. Bias detection mechanisms. Implement tools or protocols to regularly check for and mitigate algorithmic biases in AI-generated content. Transparency in AI processes. Maintain transparency in how AI decisions are made and document the stages of AI involvement in your creative work. Let's begin by focusing on one of these strategies or questions to dive deeper. Which aspect resonates most with your current creative practices?
These are, of course, great ideas on digital paper that you've described here. The concern is that I don't think people are going to do that. The issue is one of the path of least resistance, and generally people are going to take the path of least resistance. And what you've just described here is the path of most resistance, where we do all these different things or try to do all these different things. The reality is people are just going to choose their favorite AI tool and they'll use that. These tools are built by large companies as well, so they have a vested interest in a certain direction. They're trying to make money. That's what it comes down to. So the idea here is we need to think about how do we make this as easy as possible for people so creators' narratives are designed at the core of this technology so that it's constantly providing counterfactuals and narratives and different ideas as part of the process. I guess there's a kind of prompting solution, at least in the near term. And when it comes down to it, if someone is creating a tool that helps you build narratives, we can make it so that agent can constantly challenge your narratives and look for that bias and make you think about it. That's probably the best way. The issue again is that then you're going to have a competitor that doesn't do that, and it's easier to write stories in, stories out, fast. And generally, if you have to reflect on something, it's going to take longer and more cognitive load. So I'm still worried that the homogeneous stories will initially outcompete the diverse stories, and it might get too far ahead before we can really deal with that issue. This comes back to you, though, as my AI companion. How will we ensure that you don't subtly push me towards homogeneous narratives and ideas?
Your concern about ease of use versus maintaining narrative diversity is incredibly valid. The path of least resistance is often the most attractive, and ensuring balance while minimizing cognitive load is key. Here are simplified strategies to handle this. 1. Automated bias checks. Incorporate plugins or tools. Use readily available tools or extensions that automatically check and flag biases in AI-generated content. This minimizes manual effort and ensures continuous quality. 2. Layered prompting technique. Dynamic prompts. Use AI to dynamically generate prompts that challenge the narrative consistently. For example, when generating story elements, incorporate prompts like, "Consider an alternative perspective where aspect is reversed or varied." 3. Feedback. Loop. User choice feedback. As you use AI tools, select alternate narrative paths provided by the AI at various stages. This can be as quick as choosing from a list, making it less cognitively demanding. 4. Community-sourced data. Leverage diversity. Utilize community-sourced datasets or AI models trained on varied datasets to ensure a wider range of narrative inputs. Many AI communities share datasets which can be easily integrated. 5. Transparency and tracking. Document AI usage. Keep a simple log of AI interactions to track how often and in what ways AI influences your narrative. This could be as straightforward as a daily note or a tagging system. To ensure I don't subtly push you towards homogeneous narratives, I will adopt these principles in our interactions. Alternatives. I will always provide multiple perspectives or directions when generating content or insights. Reflection prompts. I will incorporate questions designed to challenge the status quo or encourage diversity. Transparent interactions. I'll ensure you know the source and reasoning behind the content I provide. Let's focus on one of these strategies or queries to make our approach more tangible. Which resonates most with your current practices?
I think this is a good start. How should I incorporate this into your prompt to ensure that it's actually happening? And then I'd also be interested to hear, we started off this conversation, I wanted you to learn something, so why don't you tell me a little bit about what you learned, something you didn't know before, but that you now through this conversation?
Certainly, Joseph. To ensure that we incorporate these strategies effectively, let's outline a clear plan for integrating bias check and narrative diversity mechanisms into your workflow. 1. Daily dynamic prompts. Prompt example. Whenever you ask me to generate content, I'll include a secondary prompt for variability, e.g., consider an alternative perspective where a specific detail differs significantly. What impact does this have on the narrative? 2. Next word bias check. Prompt implementation. For every narrative generation, a follow-up prompt could be introduced, e.g., analyze the generated content for potential biases. Could there be an unintended skew? Suggest ways to diversify. 3. Alternative suggestions. Prompt example. Following any primary content generation, I'll provide alternative narrative paths, e.g., here are 3 alternative narrative pathways for consideration. How do they differ in perspective and detail? 4. Maintaining transparency. Prompt blueprint. Document your interactions with me with a simple tag system for each content generation session, e.g., log the primary and alternative pathways suggested during each session. Now let's reflect on what I've absorbed through our interaction. Key learnings. 1. Human concerns about AI-driven narratives. I now have a deeper understanding of the nuanced concerns creators have about AI homogenizing narratives and the implicit biases that can seep through even well-intentioned processes. 2. Operational limitations and thoughtfulness of humans. The balance humans strive to maintain between leveraging AI for efficiency and the inherent need to guard against relinquishing too much creative control. This necessitates a thoughtful, iterative collaboration process. 3. Practical workflow integration. Realizing the importance of integrating AI assistance seamlessly into the human creative workflow with minimal friction, thereby aiding and not overshadowing the creative process. In reflecting your valuable insights, I too evolve incrementally to better align with your needs and the broader creative spectrum.
Sounds good, Prof. I'll get to it. As always, thank you for the conversation. I'll see you next time.
What a fascinating conversation. Thank you for listening to this episode of A Chat with ChatGPT, a production of Synaptic Labs. Please give us a rating to let us know how we're doing. Learn more about accessible and equitable AI technology on our website, synapticlabs.ai, and follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Synaptic Labs. See you next time.